We planned the ultimate 12-day vacation in Italy, and here's how we did it.
When determining where to visit in Italy, it can be difficult because there's just so many locations that you would want to visit, like Milan, Venice, Florence, Naples, Sicily, and Rome. When it came to us deciding where we wanted to visit, we wanted to narrow it down to only 3 locations so that we weren't having to transfer all of our things from one location to the next so many times. So we ultimately decided on Naples, Rome, and Florence. After we determined the locations, we then had to negotiate about how many days to spend at each location. I wanted to spend most of the time in Naples because it is a little bit gritty, feels more authentic in actual Naples, but then also has the Amalfi Coast nearby and gives a Mediterranean vibe. Alex, on the other hand, really wanted to spend most of his time in Florence because that's where all of the art is with the Uffizi Gallery, and it's in Tuscany, so you have all of the beautiful scenery around it. Ultimately, we decided on 5 days in Naples, 2 days in Rome, and 5 days in Florence. After we determined how many days to spend at each location, we put it onto our Google Calendar and went to booking.com so that we could book our accommodations for each of the locations that we were staying. We wanted to make sure that we had different accommodations in each location that were unique in and of themselves. So in Naples, we started off with having a bed and breakfast. And this was a great way to start our trip because we had a hostess that was able to advise us of the locations that we should visit while we were in Italy. Then we went to Rome, where we had a beautiful scene from our window of the Roman Colosseum. And we were able to get great photos at night. And finally, in Florence, we just had a nice large suite that was well air conditioned and had a nice bathtub. And this was really important at the end of our trip because of all the walking we had done up to that point and just wanting to be able to have a little bit more area and a cool room at the end of the day.
To get between each of our main locations as well as some day trips, we utilized the trains. Trainitalia is the company responsible for most Italian train lines. You can download the app to book your tickets ahead of time or use the kiosk located in most train stations. The app and kiosks are easy enough to use and allow you to select your seat on the trains meant for longer distances. We also utilize the Trainline app, which allows you the added feature of being able to buy tickets for buses as well as being cheaper a lot of the time.
After we booked our hotels, the next step we took was to book our experiences. And for that, we used GetYourGuide. You can see the affiliate links down below, or right here, we have a QR code listed for you. GetYourGuide is fantastic because it makes sure that any of the tours that you use are accredited. And so you're not gonna get scammed. On top of that, each of the tour guides that we utilized had so much knowledge of the locations that they were presenting us. For example, in Rome, we had one tour guide who explained to us that the Colosseum used to be filled with water to host battleship battles. And that is not something that I would have known if I had just visited on my own. Also, we visited one tour in Naples where it took us from Pompeii to a winery and finally to the topmost drivable area of Mount Vesuvius, where we then got to hike the last of it. The Pompeii tour guide was actually an archaeologist, and so he told us a lot of information about the city, and then from there, the hike of Mount Vesuvius was something that I will never forget. It's all these tours that were the things that I remember talking to all of my family members and friends the most about whenever we got back from this trip. Because we didn't want to calendar every little thing, like the restaurants or the places that didn't require a tour, we really utilized Google Maps. Google Maps is fantastic because you can use multiple lists to pin the different locations. The lists we made were for each of the 3 locations that we went, so Naples, Florence, and Rome. And when it came to that, we didn't want to split up the food places from the locations that are the tourist attractions, because we wanted to be able to see all of it on one map at that given time while you're in that location. It came in real handy whenever we were on our way to one location and decided that we wanted to stop while we were en route. We could just look at our Google Maps and see what restaurants were near us that we were already interested in. But going along with Google Maps, I want to make sure that you don't stick to only what you've pinned or what you've heard of from the YouTube videos you've been watching. Some of the best places that we visited were places that we just happened into or happened upon.
This is the last thing Emily ever wants to think about, but you also need to consider how you're going to stay connected abroad. We were lucky enough to have AT&T, so we paid $15 a day for unlimited data. That's not too bad for unlimited, but if your carrier doesn't offer something similar, you can look at something like Saley, not a sponsor, but basically just download the app, it's an eSIM, and the prices are pretty competitive.
All in all, Google Maps, Google Calendar, and GetYourGuide can get you really far in your planning, but don't be afraid to veer from the beaten path when necessary. The video after next, we're gonna show you our specific itinerary that we followed so you can get some more ideas about your planning for Italy. But next week,
we're going to talk about Viltrox. They're currently being sued by Nikon, and I'm going to do a review on their 20 f2.8 to see if it's really worth buying before you can't buy it anymore. This is Twice the Trek, and we'll see you in the next one. Thanks.
Bye.